Good evening, everyone. Hello, welcome to Wheaton. I'm Michelle Whalen, president of the college, and it's my honor to welcome you to the 6th annual Symphony Under the Stars concert. The weather has cooperated with us this year, right? No rainstorms, no thunder, and it's not 95 degrees, so we're good. This event started in 2018 with the encouragement of my predecessor, President Hanno, and it's one of my favorite traditions here at Wheaton because it brings members of the extended community, Norton, friends of Wheaton, families, parents, everyone who enjoys music together under our, well, not yet stars, but in the garden and soon to be stars. And the great Woods Symphony Orchestra is the perfect instrument for bringing us all together. So this 20-member ensemble is composed of Wheaton students, alums, faculty, as well as musicians who live in neighboring towns. And if you love this, the orchestra does perform on campus, so you can look out for those opportunities as well. We have guest musicians tonight, and as always, a really wonderful and interesting program. So before the music starts, I want to point out the all-important porta potties, just off there by the parking lot, just in case. There's also blue bins in both sides of the garden for any donations for the Cupboard of Kindness, because we're helping them tonight too. So our musicians are ready to play, and I want to introduce Professor Delvyn Case, composer and scholar who teaches at Wheaton, who is our extraordinary conductor of the symphony. Professor Case.
Thank you, President Whalen, and thank you for sharing your backyard with this concert. I oftentimes put on concerts in my backyard. I know. It takes a lot of effort and energy. All my staff are great as well. It takes a lot of work for this event to happen, and thank you to everyone who's helped to bring it to life this evening. Who has been to one of these concerts before? This is fantastic. If you've been 5 times, you get a punch card and you get to come for free next year. Just see President Whalen on the way out. If you're new for the first time, welcome. This is about an hour-long concert that features music, all different kinds of music for orchestra. The group you see behind me is a sort of a smaller version of the orchestra that you'll hear on campus during the school year. We're actually about 55 or 60 people normally, so if you want the full experience, you got to come in next December or May for our on-campus concert where we have a lot more of our students playing. Now, we're about 3 weeks beyond 4th of July, but I feel like anytime an orchestra gathers outside of the summer, there's got to be some kind of patriotic music. Maybe it's just because of the Boston Pops or Keith Lockhart. So we're going to start, as we traditionally do, with probably the most beautiful of the traditional patriotic songs in the American canon, and that is America the Beautiful. Hello. The theme of this concert is, as it always is, it seems, exploring the incredible richness of American music. So it is patriotic in that way, not just the time of year, but the whole idea of this concert is to look at the orchestra and show how orchestral music can represent the diversity and the richness of American music. And so if you want to talk about American music, you have to start when you have to think, well, when did American music start? What was the first sort of unique kind of American music that there was? And there's a pretty clear answer. It was ragtime. Ragtime was a kind of music that developed in the mid-19th century, late 19th century. It came out of African-American music with these fun syncopated rhythms. And it was a kind of piano music that eventually was popularized by a composer named Scott Joplin, who you've heard of, perhaps. And eventually ragtime turned into jazz. And once jazz hit the world stage, we have the blues, and we have Broadway, and we have eventually rock and roll and soul and funk and hip hop and everything. So we're going to play one of the most famous pieces of American music. It's The Entertainer. You'll probably recognize it, and it's by Scott Joplin. How many of you recognize that song? Have you hear it? Yeah, it's amazing. That song is 150 years old, and we still know it, and we probably haven't heard it on the radio. Think about it. Like, it's amazing how there's still sort of a folk tradition in America. There are songs that we never hear on the radio that we know. A lot of Christmas carols, right? We only learn them from hearing them from our parents. Like The Entertainer, I don't know, maybe your kid played it in piano when they were taking piano lessons, or you've heard it, right? There are these songs and kinds of music that are part of the American fabric, and they have a staying power if they're good. Ragtime was a kind of piano music that was pioneered by black composers like Scott Joplin, and it really transformed American music. It gave birth to modern Broadway with all of its catchy tunes, etc. It really comes down to the music of these composers in the 19th century. Now, Scott Joplin was drawing upon these kind of syncopated rhythms from the black community, from the secular dance music of the communities. But there, of course, were other kinds of music in black communities after the Civil War and before. And this was the music of the church. And the best known example of these songs are generally called spirituals. They're a collection of incredibly powerful sacred songs, sort of like hymns. Some of them are joyous, but many of them are tragic. And the song we're going to present right now is called Deep River. It's one of the most famous and heartfelt and moving of these spirituals. Originally an anonymous folk song that was written down and arranged by Harry T. Burleigh, one of the great African-American composers of the 20th century. We are going to invite George to come and sing this wonderful and beautiful and moving song for us now. Georgia is going to be a senior, right, at Wheaton? Is that correct? All right, wonderful. So we've heard two pieces of music come from the black tradition because it's really the core of where the first kind of uniquely American style of music came from. And now we're going to move to a third in sort of a collection, the first collection of three songs. And it's a suite of 3 folk dances arranged by the Black composer Florence Price, who is a really important American orchestral composer, and recently her music has kind of been rediscovered, and she's having a moment, as the kids say. You can hear her music all over the world now, and more of it's being recorded and performed all the time. So these are 3 dances, 3 little dances. I don't actually know if they're actual folk dances or if she wrote new pieces of music inspired by them, but they have the syncopated rhythms that you might have heard in The Entertainer. It also has a lot of another characteristic of Black music, which is call and response. Now, if you've ever been to like a Black church or heard gospel music, you hear call and response between the preacher and the choir, or the soloist and the choir, but it's kind of all over music from the African American tradition. So even in this orchestra piece, you're going to see spots where the violins play something and the cellos answer back and forth. So 3 short little dances. The first one is, it's getting windy. The first one is Hoe Cake. It's a kind of a sweet treat. The second is Rabbit Foot. And then the third is Ticklin Toes. And they get sort of increasingly fun as they move along. So all the music that we heard so far has one thing in common. It's all written by people who are now currently dead. But music is alive and well, not just in Norton, but it's alive in the pens and the minds and the computers of contemporary composers. So I'm really excited to share with you now a song that was written only a few years ago by a fantastic husband and wife duo. And they really demonstrate, kind of like in one sort of family, what it means to be a contemporary American artist. So we have the songwriter and the violinist who wrote the piece, Mary VanHoozer, who is a hurdy-gurdy player. Now, if you don't know what a hurdy-gurdy is, that's okay. It's kind of like a Renaissance instrument that's kind of like a fiddle combined with it's hard even to say. Google it, not now. It's hard to describe. You kind of has a drone and it's got keys, but it's kind of like a fiddle. Anyway, it's not very common anymore. But Mary, God love her, plays it, and she loves playing it. So she wrote this piece of music on this. So she comes. Her mom's from France, and French music is all about the hurdy-gurdy, at least at a certain period of time. So she decided to write a piece for hurdy-gurdy and violin. And of course, what kind of piece did she write? She wrote an Irish dance, for a Ceilidh, like an Irish, sort of like an Irish style of song. So that's fine. So she's living in California, so she calls this Irish piece for a French instrument Riverside Ceilidh, because it's Californian as well. Then, when I heard it, I said, okay, I would like to play this with my orchestra. So she asked her husband, Josh, who was born in Argentina to Colombian and American parents, who grew up in Guatemala, then moved to Mexico before studying in California. So what you have here is a real extraordinary example of just all the different kinds of cultures that come together in this remarkable artistic team to bring this piece of brand new music to you. It's called Riverside Ceilidh. That's a great piece. If you can't tell, it's really complicated. It takes this wonderful sort of folk-like melody and just sort of expands it. It's wonderful. And if you like that tune, I think it's a very catchy tune, you can just search Spotify or YouTube for Riverside Ceilidh by Mary VanHoozer. It's in the program, and you can listen to the original version. You can hear yourself what a real hurdy-gurdy sounds like. Now, the next piece is also a dance. Oh, by the way, I should ask, has anybody gone to a fast show? Like, did your kids ever do Irish step? So you've maybe been to a Ceilidh before? So if you have, you kind of get the sense of sort of some of the kind of rhythms that you hear that Mary was trying to go for. So speaking of dancing, we're going to play a orchestral version of really one of the most exciting kind of dances out there, which is the tango. Now, the tango is an Argentinian dance with a long and storied history, but there was a composer named Astor Piazzolla who early in the 20th century sort of transformed the tango. He was born in Argentina, came to the United States, and was exposed to jazz and studied classical music, and then started to compose for orchestra and sort of take the tango, which had been sort of a dance music for in clubs, etc., and concerts in Argentina, and sort of turned it into almost like a concert form of music, sort of bringing a whole new dimension to the tango. And he became very famous and recorded albums with bands and also with orchestras, etc. So we're going to do Libertango, which is just a super fun version of the tango, and it features not just the orchestra, but it features one of the music department's proudest alumni. Playing drums behind us. So enjoy Libertango. Jackson Reed on drums. Welcome back to Campus Jackson. Also playing viola this evening. And Rob Bethel on the cello solo. So if you like that, there's a lot more Piazzolla. Just go Google him or listen to him on Spotify or YouTube. Fantastic stuff. We are going to move on to, I'm going to double check. Yes, so we are going to stay sort of in the same general part of the world. We're going to stay in Latin America, and we're going to play one movement from a wonderful piece by an American composer named Jose Elizondo, who is actually based in Boston, at least until recently. And this is a very famous piece of his. It's been played hundreds and hundreds of times. I believe he wrote it for Yo-Yo Ma. Yo-Yo is not here with us tonight. That's okay, maybe next year. See, get that punch card. Come back next year, you never know. We were supposed to perform this piece in a wonderful version that Jose made for flute and string orchestra with a recent alum, Sean Perez, who I went to honors convocation at Wheaton this year, and he won like every award. So a fantastic flute player, and all that's. You'll notice that he is not currently here because he sustained an injury and he actually cannot perform. So he's a wonderful player, and we wish him all the best physically in his career post-Wheaton, which will shine brightly. But he is not here. So we are still going to perform this piece, but in a version slightly modified just with the strings. It's basically the translation of the topic of the title is essentially some sunset in Tapatio, which is a place in Mexico. It's a wonderful sort of lilting sort of song, dot, 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 very sort of graceful and light. I think you're going to love it. So this is the third movement from Jose Elizondo's Danzas Latinoamericanas. And we'll finish this trio of music inspired by Latin American and Caribbean music with the famous song America from Leonard Bernstein's West Side Story, which is a version of Romeo and Juliet retold as if it were happening in the Puerto Rican community in the west side of New York City in the 1950s. You'll definitely recognize the tune. And this is a great arrangement for strings and piano and percussion, and it also features this particular performance, or this particular piece features both the orchestra, Jackson Reed on drums, and also another wonderful alumna from Wheaton, Bree Sheldon, on piano. So enjoy Leonard Bernstein's America from West Side Story. Did anybody recognize that song? I'd like to be in America. Has anybody seen the show live? Anybody seen the movie? Anybody seen the other movie? Exactly, great. Yeah, it's another one of those songs which you might not hear on the radio, but it exists. We see it performed live. There are films, these songs that are part of the American fabric, from the stage, from folk music, from church, from all over the place. And they're just sort of a part of the music that's floating around in the air. Now, we're going to play another piece of music that is by an American composer, and we're moving from music inspired by Latin America to music that's inspired by the Appalachians, the middle part of the country, or the South. And we're going to play a beautiful, beautiful piece of music that was called Ashokan Farewell, and it was written for the Ken Burns Civil War documentary from several years ago. It's a beautiful tune, a tune you might recognize. It was actually written to sort of bring to life this really soul-crushing letter, really a real letter written by a Union soldier from Rhode Island that he had written to his wife, saying, "I know I'm going to be deployed. I'm going to go to battle tomorrow. I have a good feeling that I'm going to come back, but if I don't, I know I will always be with you." And of course, he didn't come back. It's a true story, and it's brought to life amazingly in the documentary. This is this beautiful piece of music that's kind of taken on a life of its own, because it sort of captures with a sort of graceful simplicity the tragedy of the war, but also the depth of love. So it features Kimberly Fang playing a wonderful fiddle solo at the beginning, and then the rest of the orchestra adding in later. So I hope you enjoy this wonderful work. So sticking with the theme of fiddle music, we're moving from a beautiful but tragic ballad to some dance music. And we are going to play one of my favorite pieces of American orchestral music. It's the Hoe-Down movement from Aaron Copland's Rodeo Ballet. It uses a number of Western and Appalachian fiddle tunes in it, the whole ballet, cowboy songs, etc. And this particular movement has several of them in there. It doesn't have any solos really, or maybe a small one, but you can hear these rhythms, and also just the whole energy of the movement. I mean, it makes you feel like you're at a real old-fashioned Western hoedown. So one of my favorite pieces of music, Aaron Copland's Hoe-Down from Rodeo. You know, they say one of the wonderful things about music education is that it teaches you to work together and collaborate and cooperate and help each other. And we certainly have seen that this evening with the breeze that comes up only when we're performing, it seems. So we saw multiple examples of people grabbing music and holding it so people can play a solo, etc. And at certain points people are like, I'm not sure if you saw earlier, but there was a certain point where one of our violists was holding down my music with his bow, right? So we're all in this together, as the song says. So way to go, orchestra. Thanks for working together and learning how to be a real team. So we featured one of our students singing a solo already this evening. We have several alumni playing in the orchestra in some prominent roles. And I'm really excited to now feature another current Wheaton student, named Emma Bradshaw, who is one of my songwriting students. And Emma is going to perform 2 songs that she's written over the last year. Where'd you go? Oh, please come on up. Yeah, exactly. These are not with orchestra. These are just a little. The orchestra gets a little breather here while Emma sings songs with her recording. But tell us about the songs. Okay, great.
Hello. So this first song, well, first of all, is going to require some audience participation, including people behind and around me, if you'd like. But this song is about that sort of like moment of realization when you realize that you weren't the problem the whole time and that someone was manipulating you, and then you're like, oh, that sucks. So that's what this song is about. And there's going to get to a point at the bridge where I sing, so don't you follow, and then I'll repeat. And so I'm gonna have you guys all sing that, and I'll do a little cutoff when it's time to stop. But do you guys want to try singing that real quick? Yes. Okay. Right. I'll start. You can just join in whenever. Okay. Don't you follow? Don't you follow? Perfect. Lovely. Okay. So you'll know when it happens, and then I'll do a little conductor cutoff when it's time. Yes. Okay. But this song, this song is called Hope. It's in the air. Oh, this is the wrong one. Sorry, I'm doing too long. That was the song I'm singing. Oh, okay, there we go. Spent so long trying to preserve every single word you said to me. I held strong to stories that you spew. Why couldn't I see through stupidity? You shut the blinds, turned out the lights, expected me to read the signs of danger. Opened the door, I waited for the girl to love the boy who thought he'd saved her. But he was wrong. She ran away, begged her to stay, but she wouldn't let him steal her hope away. I can tell your ego has been bruised, but you can stand to lose a little bit. You're trying to sell those big puppy dog eyes while I dance with other guys. You throw a fit. You shut the blinds, turn out the lights, expected me to read the signs of danger. Open the door, I waited for the girl to love the boy who thought he'd saved her. But he was wrong. She ran away, begged her to stay, but she wouldn't let him steal her hope away. Okay, you guys ready? So don't you follow, don't you follow, don't you follow, don't you, keep going, Bob, don't follow. No. Don't you follow? Hey, he thought she'd cling to broken glass, but he was wrong. She ran away, begged her to stay, but he wouldn't let her steal her hope for long. She ran away, begged her to stay, but she wouldn't let him steal her hope away. Thank you. Hold on, let me get a drink of water. So fast. So this next song requires a bit more explanation. So I am a... Ooh. A film and theater. I was a film and theater double major, and this was a song that both of these songs I wrote one line of fall of my junior year, and then last fall I was at the National Theater Institute, and I wound up writing the full songs for both of them. Then, and so this was a song that I had for my final senior capstone project that I also made a music video for. So this will be released soon once I mix the song right. But this song is called Everything Sucks, Including You, which, It's about a vampire. There's a lot of backstory that is not necessary for you to know, but the idea of the music video and of the song was it's supposed to be like a Disney Channel original movie called High Stakes High, about a vampire that goes to regular kid school. He gets bullied. This is at prom. The girl that he's into, she's in a band because she's cool, whatever. And this is the song that she sings to be like, hey, no, I think that actually you're cool. And there's a lot of vampire jokes, and there's one very, very subtle one that everyone says, I would never get that when I tell them what it is. It's at the end, but probably no one will, but maybe you'll get it. Who knows? You gotta listen. Okay. I thought that every suitor's aim was just to claim me, break me, make me theirs to mold. But for the first time I have found someone who's reaching out his hand for me to hold. I wish you could see all of the haunting radiance I see in you. But you can't see your reflection, so I guess my little song will have to do. So sink your teeth in, baby, wherever you go and take me. Oh, what wonders the undead can do, 'cause you have made my life anew. Oh, the world is always crumbling, but that don't mean I have nothing, 'cause everything sucks, baby, including you. They say that you can read our minds, but I'm inclined to say that simply can't be true. 'Cause just 1 second spent in mine, you'll find there's no denying I'm so in love with you. So sink your teeth in, baby, wherever you go and take me. Oh, what wonders the undead can do, 'cause you have made my life anew. Oh, the world is always crumbling, but that don't mean I have nothing, 'cause everything sucks, baby, including you. Not even death can do us part, 'cause you walk straight to my heart, and gladly I let you in. And I thank the stars that garland things not true, 'cause to give it up would be hard to do, but I do it for you. So sink your teeth in, baby, wherever you go and take me. Oh, what wonders the undead can do, 'cause you have made my life anew. Oh, the world is always crumbling, but that don't mean I have nothing, 'cause everything sucks, baby, including you. Everything sucks, baby, including you. Hey, 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 everything sucks, baby, including you. Thank you.
Emma Bradshaw, everybody. Wait, did you graduate? You break my heart. Okay, another alumnus. Okay. So we have come to the end of the concert almost. We're going to finish up with a piece by another great American composer. This is John Williams, and I always like to finish our concerts with this piece because it's got a bunch of music that's out of this world. Get it? Star Wars, etc. And also, I figure if we're going to explore the variety and the diversity of American music, well, you've got Latin America, you've got the American South, you've got cowboy tunes, you've got French, Irish, Californian, Guatemalan music like we heard, but we've also got space, and we've got the galaxy far, far away. So enjoy this medley of music by John Williams. Thank you, everyone, and thank you to President Whalen for hosting us and for everyone who put a lot of work into making this event happen. And thanks to you for coming and enjoying the evening. Please join us in the spring and the fall for more music and performing arts at Wheaton. Have a nice evening, everybody.